Matrix, waters above crypto. I'm wishing you all a beautiful start to your week, sending everyone love and high vibrations. Tomorrow is the big day, February 22nd, 222, the United States, Pluto's return. In today's video, I'm going to start out with a Gematria Decoded and share some numerology connections for yesterday on our weekly close for the crypto market, and then get into the Gematria Decode for Pluto's return. Then finish up today's video with some technical analysis for Bitcoin, Ethereum, and XRP. So if you're new here, we do cryptocurrency technical analysis and combine it with Gematria Numerology and Astrology to understand these markets. Feel free to subscribe and turn on the bell notification to stay updated on when new videos come out. And make sure to give this video a like and share this channel with other conscious beings to help grow this community. And for those of you that want to learn how to do technical analysis and combine it with Gematria, you can join my Mastermind course. The link to my website can be found in the description box of this video and in the pinned comment below for access to the Mastermind course. And with that being said, let's take the red pill. So, big day coming up tomorrow, but I do actually want to start out with a little bit of numerology for yesterday, the 20th of February, which was the 220 date, the 22222, removing the zeros in the rules of numerology. So the big connection here actually goes back to November 10th, which was the 111 date in the rules of numerology. And the reason this date in particular is important is because this was the date of Bitcoin hitting its all-time high at $69,000 before it went into a downtrend. And if you take this amount of days in between, it is 102 days. And I actually started to see that this number comes back to a key term that we've been talking about quite often, which is called Shemitah, and that is the 7-year cycle, the sabbatical cycle year. And this connection here comes back to the term Sabbath year. And we could see right there in English ordinal, it gives us that 102. And I'm going to make another connection for you in a moment. So on this channel, I've been talking about the Shemitah, which started on last Rosh Hashanah on the 7th of September of 2021. And this will last all the way up until the next September, which is September 26th, 27th Rosh Hashanah, around the ending fall time in the year 2022, which is this current year. So we have some time to go, about 7 months or so until this event. And during this time, we typically have a lot of volatility in the market, but more importantly, after Shemitah is over, we typically see big market devastation. So this 102 connection is very interesting, and for any of you out there that are aware of Event 201, which again is the mirror of the 102, you know the significance of this 102 and 201 number. It's massive. And this 21 number comes back to Saturn, and that is in the Chaldean and full reduction cipher. But what's really important about this connection with Saturn is that is the Sabbath. That is Saturn. So again, Sabbath year giving us that 102, and we are 102 days between this date, the 111 date, and this date, the 22 date. It's pretty interesting to see how yesterday we had that volatility where we broke support and started to retest lower levels, and today played a big role in it all. And I've been warning everyone about this Pluto's return and potential volatility around this particular day being the 21st of February, because it's exactly 5 days after the past full moon. So if you watched my last video, I was discussing the lunar cycles, and here on this channel, we use the lunar cycle to be able to determine the energy of the market. So around a full moon, we typically have a bearish energy in the market, and around a new moon, we have a bullish energy in the market. And what we saw in my last video was me explaining to you how we typically do see up to 5 days on average after a full moon is where we get that push to the downside. It's where our lows come in. And today is officially 5 days since the full moon on February 16th. So this is playing out really nicely. And again, we have to see how the rest of this month closes out. Today, the stock market is closed because of President's Day in the United States of America. It will be reopening tomorrow on Pluto's return. So it's definitely important because tomorrow is the day of Tuesday, which is the day of Mars, Martes, and Mars is the god of war. And again, we saw how the Rams recently just won the Super Bowl. And yeah, so perhaps this will be actually a bullish day. It'll be interesting to see how it plays out. Even today, thus far, I saw Bitcoin before I went to sleep last night hit 39K immediately after the weekly close. Then it got rejected. When I woke up this morning, it retested 37. So it's just a big fake out. Again, lots of volatility, and we could see this is getting bought up today, actually. I saw the bounce off of the 236 fib, and now we're starting to put in a little bit of a doji, and again, now we're green. So this is just super choppy, very volatile. Again, very important days right now around this time, because Pluto's return is a rare event. And again, we're going to see how this all plays out. But I wanted to share this connection with this particular Sabbath year, giving us the 102. And we do see that between these 2 days, the current all-time high, and the day yesterday, giving us 102 days. And these 2 days are very important because you can see right here is the 10th of November, the day that Bitcoin hit its all-time high, was the 314th day of the year. And then yesterday left 314 days in the year. So that's a huge connection. And also you could see with this date, November 10th, it was 51 days left in the year. And right now, yesterday was the 51st day of the year. Pretty awesome connection there as well. Not only with the 102 coming back to Sabbath year, which again is when you consider the word Shemitah means release, but what it's all about is the Sabbath year or sabbatical year. So this is a nice connection that we've made with that. And then that 314 coming back to pi being 3.14. Now, this is where it gets even more interesting. If I actually type in this day of 220 and bring it over to the end of this upcoming Rosh Hashanah, which will be on the 27th, 26th time frame of 2022, you can see that this date connection gives us 7 months and 7 days. And Shemitah is all about the sevens. It's the 7-year cycle. So pretty amazing when you go from this particular date till the end of Shemitah, you get 7-7. So this is absolutely important. And if you're going to measure from tomorrow, I want to just show you guys one other connection that we have going on here. Back to the beginning of Shemitah, which again was on September 7th of 2021, we're getting 167 days coming into today. You could see 221 is today's date. Now, what's important about this number is it is 167, and 167 is the 39th prime number. So where do we see 39? Right back in Sabbath year, 39. And again, this is all through this transition of this upcoming Pluto's return, which has kicked in. And you can see today, actually, if you look right there, the high of today is 39,000 on Bitcoin. This is all ran by code. And I would assume XRP hit 77 cents today at some point as well. Yes, it did. And that connection coming back. So it's pretty amazing to see how this is all tying in together. Again, Ethereum at $2,700, that 27 coming back to Jupiter. And we know this also Sabbath year equals 27. Okay. So it's all tied in with these particular top cryptocurrencies because they're all moving a particular sector of liquidity within the overall cryptocurrency market. So that's just one huge connection between the start of Shemitah till today, 167 days. 167 is the 39th prime number. Bitcoin hit 39K today, instantaneously got rejected. And then we can see how this all ties in with what happened yesterday. Also, today is the 52nd day of this year, and 52 comes back to cryptocurrency in the Chaldean cipher. So that 52 is definitely important. So anyways, let's get into tomorrow. This is the big date that everyone wants to talk about. It is Pluto's return. And Pluto's return also has this 66 date numerology when you do it the way that I like to do with adding up the double digits. And one of my most important places that I've found that 66 in the English ordinal cipher is Moloch. Okay, so go do your research. But it's pretty funny to see that connection. That's just a side note. Doesn't really matter too much. But This 222 date, absolutely massive. Pluto's return. They say that the last time we had a Pluto's return in the United States was on Independence Day of 1776. Okay, so that was quite a while ago. But another important connection here to bring it back into cryptocurrency is this is exactly 24 weeks since last Rosh Hashanah. So that 24 connection, again, coming back to Satoshi, giving us 24, which are the smaller increments of a Bitcoin. And this, of course, Bitcoin was created by Satoshi Nakamoto, and Satoshi Nakamoto giving us the 89, which is the 24th prime number. And why does this all matter? Because we were just talking about cryptocurrency, of course, and how this all ties into the charts, and the creator of the initial cryptocurrency being Satoshi Nakamoto. Again, this is all exoteric, but when you're getting to the truth, because the truth is in plain sight, you utilize the exoteric so that you could utilize your wisdom and gnosis to get the esoteric. Okay, that's how this all works. Because I have a lot of people, they're like, why do you talk about Satoshi Nakamoto? It's a made-up person. Yes, I get that. Okay, a lot of the characters in his story were made up, all right? But we need to utilize that information, the dates connected to those people, the way their names were spelled out, and then also their birthdays that they died on to be able to determine how this whole Gematria code is fixed in. And this is where you can see that all the famous people in this world, they do specific things on specific dates or die on specific dates coming back to this code. Every single famous person you know doesn't have a real name. Okay, they're using stage names. Even the politicians, they're using stage names. It's no different than Satoshi Nakamoto being a fake person. All these politicians, all these people who rule this government, all these people around the world who are in power positions, all of the celebrities you know, are using fake names. Okay, so this is why Satoshi is so important. It's right there in the words for us. It is exoteric, but the eyes don't work anymore. You actually have to go to the first eye, the pineal body, to see the truth. Okay, and that's how you get the esoteric meaning, and that's why this code is so powerful. All right, this 181 connection coming back to the 42nd prime, we've been talking about that 42 here for a long time now. When you start seeing how all of these numbers hidden within here are coming to fruition by the code, you start to see why Gematria is so powerful. So this huge connection here with Satoshi Nakamoto comes back to that 55 in Chaldean, and that 55 we're getting in the same cipher with Pluto's return. All right, it is so powerful. Okay, and then I've also shown you guys a couple weeks back, Queen Elizabeth gives us that 55, and then also we have Platinum Jubilee, which just happened a couple of weeks ago, giving us that 55. But anyways, let's get back on track. We have Pluto's return giving us that 55, which directly ties with Satoshi Nakamoto. And this is massive because you're going to see how even later this is going to tie in again. All right. So Pluto's return 2022 is giving us the 61, and the 61 is the 18th prime number. And anyone who knows anything about Judaism, you know that 18 is huge, and everything that I've been sharing so far has been in correlation to the Hebrew calendar, because the Hebrew calendar is what's running this financial system. One of the systems in many other systems at play. The financial system is just the one that I pay attention to the most on this channel. So that's why this number 18 is so massive, and that's why the Hebrew calendar is so helpful, right? So this is pretty interesting, this 18 that we're getting back again, because we know that Shemitah equals 18 in Chaldean. And then also what's so amazing about this 70 that we're getting with Shemitah is 70 is what the Platinum Jubilee is all about. When I was showing you that 55 with Platinum Jubilee, it's the Queen Elizabeth's 70th year as queen. And this is the Shemitah landing on Platinum Jubilee, the 70th year she's been queen, which is also a essentially super Shemitah, which means that 7 cycles of 7 lands us on the 49th year, or the 7th Shemitah in the cycle. And when this Shemitah is over, which I just showed you before, ends on the September 27th date, you're getting the harvest. Essentially, the Grim Reaper comes and collects. And that's why we have massive market crashes after Shemitah is over. Now, this is just a start in a series of really breaking this down a lot deeper, because I've been warning and telling people about this now for pretty much a full year. But channel's growing. We're getting a lot of amazing, enlightened people who are seeking truth showing up, and they need to see how these basic terms are bringing us so much power once you know the actual meaning within the words. You don't need to use Gematria to type out full-blown sentences to prove a point. It's all here in the basics, okay? So this huge connection as well because of Pluto's return, and I'm going to show you with the Hebrew year as well, 5782, this is massive, right? Because the 5782 gives us the 22, and we're in the Gregorian year of 2022. And Pluto's return is on 222, which is tomorrow. So we have Pluto's return 5782, and what is that giving us? The 77. Just like I was telling you before, we're in the Super Shemitah, which is 7 cycles of 7. And I was just showing you also this bigger connection going to the 29th of September. This is going to be massive, this connection that I'm about to show you. So 222, which is Pluto's return, giving us 7 months and 7 days. Again, going to September 29th, the end of Shemitah, 2 days after it. So again, going with the twos, we have the 222, 222, and 2 days after the start of the next Hebrew New Year will be the connection of 7 months and 7 days. Absolutely mind-blowing. And then this bigger connection with days left in the year giving us 93, and that 93 comes back to Saturn, 93. And this is all about Saturn. That's what the Sabbath is, the Sabbath year. All right, so Pluto's return, 5782, giving us that 77. And of course, this is all about Judaism with that 77. But this connection here with that 77, and again, from Pluto's return going to 2 days into next Hebrew year, giving us 7 months and 7 days. This is absolutely something to keep in mind, guys. So put this date, of course, the next Hebrew New Year, but it's the date around it too, including this date, that is definitely going to be something. I mean, it's almost too obvious at this point. For those of you that know this code, people who don't know this code, they're expecting specific things to happen on obvious dates. So where I'm at with tomorrow, I don't think anything huge is going to happen. I do have some numbers to share with you in a moment. That'll be more exoteric stuff and how we could tie in the esoteric to make sense of it all, but it's too obvious when we have something like 222 on the 222 year. Most likely it's stuff that we get caught off guard. And that's what's so amazing about taking these dates and comparing them to other dates such as Rosh Hashanah or Hanukkah and seeing how it all comes to fruition. Or if you take a certain amount of days from one other date, like for instance 77 days from a particular day, this is where you start to make your better connections. But when it comes to such basic things like the standard date numerology, where you're just looking at the date itself, that's usually when nothing happens. So people always want things to happen on obvious days like that, but that would be too simple. The elites are way more sophisticated than that. Or we'll call them the apex predators. They are way more sophisticated than that when it comes to manipulating this system. Okay? So I think this is pretty interesting too, because this all ties back to Pluto or Pluton, who is Hades. Okay? So again, in Greek mythology, he is the king of the underworld. And what's super important about this is going back to the Matrix movie, and you learn that Hades or Pluton is actually the Merovingian. And you know this because his wife is Persephone. And Persephone is kept with him in the underworld, underground. And during that time, we have the winter. And when she is let go from his enslavement, then we have the summer and we have harvest. And who is the king of harvest? Saturn. Okay? So this is very, very important that we see this whole big connection here to all of this. So in the Matrix movie, we know Persephone because she was given the direct name of Persephone. And then we have the Merovingian or the Frenchman, and the Frenchman was her partner. So we know for a fact the Merovingian in the Matrix movie was Hades or Pluton. And when you watch the recent Matrix movie, Matrix 4, you could see that the Merovingian, the Frenchman, is actually all old and decrepit. He kind of looks like a caveman. And this is showing you that the archaic old system is going to be replaced for the new system, which is the quantum system. Again, this is where cryptocurrency and all of this stuff comes into play, with blockchain replacing the current system that we're using today for the economy. And that has some time to go, but it's amazing how this Pluto character plays into all of this, and it's quite overlooked by a lot of people. So what we're going to do is we're just going to quickly type in Hades, and we're going to get this 37, okay? This 37 is the 12th prime number, and tomorrow, the date of Pluto's return, which you could see right here, is the standard date numerology of 12, all right? Huge connection, because Hades is Pluto, Pluton, which gives us in the basic English ordinal cipher 12th prime, all right? Tying back to the date numerology, and of course Hades giving us that 18, and that 18 tying back to what we've been talking about this whole video, Shemitah, 18, all right? And this individual having to do with wealth, true wealth, okay? Not the type of artificial wealth that's tied to Mercury. This is the true wealth, because underground is where we have all the precious metals. It's where we have all the diamonds. This is what was considered to back the prior currency before we moved into this scam system of infinite printing of money with the Federal Reserve System and the current central banking order, regime, whatever you want to call it. So Mercury is what we have to deal with. Mercury. He is the trickster of the artificial economy. He is the trickster of merchandise and fake money, the fiat system. Hades is tied to the true wealth system, okay? Tying the physical to the value, something that truthfully exists, and it's not just infinitely printable, okay, with arbitrary value. So that's another connection to be made back to Hades as well. Again, none of this is good, none of this is bad. This is just positive and negative aspects, and you see how it all plays into its role. But we have to deal with Mercury within the dome. This is our biggest, kind of thing that we need to conquer in our life. To be able to have a quote-unquote comfortable life, we have to make amends with Mercury. We have to be able to figure out our way around the fiat scam system, around credit. We need to learn how to leverage credit or master credit, and then we could actually kind of step our way up the rungs of wealth. And of course, true wealth is all about spirituality. It's all about consciousness. It's all about love, vibrational frequency. But again, you need to also take all of this into account, because we have bills and food to eat, and we have to make it through this matrix system. So it's really amazing how in the movie Matrix, Hades, or Pluton, was the Merovingian, and the Merovingian was keeping the keymaker. The keymaker is a very important role into all of this, tying back to the oracle. So I really would love to have the time to be able to make a full-blown matrix decode and how this all ties into the mythologies, but I believe you guys are kind of seeing where this is going. So let's continue this and get to a little bit more of the fun part of this decode, which has to deal with Kanye West. And again, this isn't about good. This isn't about bad. We're not giving any of our attention to these individuals, but I'm just going to show you through the code how this all works. So what's going on with this individual, Kanye West, is he is releasing his next album tomorrow on 2/22/22. This was the promo picture that came out for it, and in the same day that he talked about releasing this album, it'll be called Donda 2. Again, Donda is the name of his mom, and you could see Donda 2 of course equals 22, because this is releasing on 2/22. This is all going to be coded in. And shortly after he released this image to the world, he came out with this, which you can see is from his official, I believe, Instagram. And then you could see February 22, 2022. According to the stars, the United States is finally getting a spiritual makeover with its first ever Pluto's return on February 22nd, 2022. Astrologically, a Pluto's return is when the heavenly body returns to the same position in a birth chart where it was when the chart began. All right? He knows about Pluto's return. He is purposefully releasing his album on this date because it is a ritual. And what's so interesting about this is the executive producer of this album will be Future, and Future has made 2 albums called Pluto. He has Pluto, which came out on 2012, and then as well Pluto 3D, and he might have other ones called Pluto. I don't actually know. I don't listen to this individual, but I do think this is pretty obvious by now. He releases his next album, which is executive produced by Future, who has multiple albums called Pluto, and it'll be releasing on Pluto's return. Of course, this length was 56 minutes and 44 seconds. I mean, this is all pretty important numbers as well. We know that the 56 coming back to the Jesuit order, and then as well we have that 44, like Kanye West is 44 years old, and the Rams won the Super Bowl on the 44th day, and Los Angeles is the City of Angels. City of Angels equals 44 in Chaldean. This is all amazing when you start to see these numbers come to fruition. I'm sure if you ran the date numerology on this particular album, you'll see how it all goes as well. So another thing to mention about Pluto is Kanye West has been working quite a bit with an artist named Casey Pluto. And what's amazing about Casey Pluto, the way this is spelled, he goes by the name Casey, but he also goes by this full name, Casey Pluto. And this equals 37 in Chaldean. And again, Hades equals 37. Again, 37 is the 12th prime number, and tomorrow is the 12 date numerology. And I bet that Casey Pluto will be featured on this album. Again, 2 other Pluto connections coming back to this album, Donda 2, which has the 22 releasing on the date of 222. All right. Also, this album will have 22 songs on the track list. And again, it's releasing on Pluto's return, which has that 55, and this is where it's all absolutely mind-blowing, because if you type in his name, Kanye West, Donda 2, you get 55. This is all coded, guys. This is the beauty of the code. So Kanye also has direct ties to the number 14, because Kanye equals 14, and 14 comes back to the Bengals losing the Super Bowl and the Rams winning the Super Bowl. Okay, this year of the tiger thing, anything coming back to the tiger isn't doing so hot. And I'm interested now to see if Pluto will bring us a positive aspect, whilst Jupiter, or the tiger, the striped planet, was bringing us those negative aspects. Okay, so this is pretty amazing how this is all working. The Kanye with the 14, and of course Ram equals 14. LA Rams equals 14 in Chaldean. You also have that 44. They won on the 44th day of the year, the last Super Bowl, which was called Super Bowl LVI. LVI equals 43, which is the 14th prime number. All right. This is all coded, and it's beautiful to watch it happen, because we're getting to see now we don't have to even watch sports. We don't really need to pay much attention and waste our time. We could just decode, and through this decoding, we're actually gaining a skill, and this skill is applicable to the future before it even arrives. We could be calm in the day-to-day and not get so lost in the sauce. So I'm really fascinated to see how tomorrow will be. It'll probably be an interesting day, but to be completely honest, it's probably not that big of a deal from the massive craziness that we've been perpetuated through with the media and the news headlines and all this talk about war and the Freedom Convoy and all this. This is all just psyops hitting us from all angles to keep the mind stimulated on fear. Okay? The reason why I'm doing what I do in the world is to relinquish our fears. Go from your mind to your heart. Live a life that is a love-based frequency. Use your gnosis, your wisdom, your knowledge to actually serve your purpose, your higher self. Don't get dragged into the drama of news, okay? This is what it's truthfully all about. What is the point of having enlightenment and wisdom if you're always feeling negative? And you're feeling negative because of the drama and the anxiety of tomorrow. All right? The reason why these words are so important for us to understand is because it doesn't matter if you're rich or if you're smart or if you're good looking or anything in life if you don't feel good. Everything you do should be perpetuating you forward through high vibrations. And right now the world has been succumbed to the lower chakras and we're just imprisoned there. And I do serve my life's purpose to help people break free from that and go towards those higher vibrations to be able to achieve whatever it is that they can achieve. Manifestation is real, guys, okay? It's very important that we let that all sink in. So let's get into the technical analysis today. So we can see the huge rebound for Bitcoin off of retesting that 236 fib. It's a beautiful thing to watch that happen. Again, we saw that 39 connection that I shared with you a little bit earlier. Bitcoin's currently trading at 39,000. It was literally hitting 39,000 before it came all the way down to that 37 target. That 37 is an important number to consider because it's perceived as 3737s, which is 777, and that's the jackpot, right? And again, this all comes back to the sevens of Shemitah. So I was mentioning in my last video, again, how we do have up to 5 days after the full moon. We could see some negative action in the market, and we could see here it is total of 5 days. And we would be hitting a newer low today in the microstructure. This would not surprise me if we had a little bit of a reversal from here, especially with the stock market opening up tomorrow, since we had a 3-day weekend, perhaps giving us some relief for the monthly close moving into March. Overall, March should be bullish, okay? Not based on my opinion, just based on prior month performance, based on the chart structure we're getting. And what I see happening now, again, remember I said very vividly in early February, even when we started to move up, I said I do not anticipate a V-shaped recovery. I expect us to move up bullish into the Super Bowl with a rejection. We were losing support at the 40K area. Now we've come down, back tested a key level with a wick perfectly on the 236. This is about as deep as we should go. And I brought this up in the last video to keep an eye on 37. All right. If we start actually closing dailies below 37, that is problematic. But as long as we're maintaining above this level, the last video's TA and the prior videos before that as well, pretty much all last week is turning out exactly how we imagined, and we're hitting all the key price targets, all of the technical targets. Again, this has nothing to do with emotion or bullish bias. This is just purely reading the charts and combining it with the lunar cycles to know whether we're moving up or down, and then also the Gematria and seeing how these big key terms play into the movement of Bitcoin by the code. All right. So for now, this looks like a big W pattern. And if I bring it into a linear scale instead of logarithmic like I had before, and I was to draw a little bit of a neckline like right here, let me turn off that extension. And then assume this is our neckline, and then assume that this is our base bringing down to the close. I would like to keep it there to be fair, not on the wicks. And then you can see that the neckline moving up to around here puts us right back into that golden pocket territory, right at the 702. So there's still a possibility for a 55K Bitcoin. And why would that be so interesting for us to hit 55K? Again, going back to Satoshi Nakamoto, 55, and then as well Pluto's return. And we know this is all about Pluto and Hades. So that Pluto's return with the 55, that would be amazing if we hit there, right? Because we have all those connections to the 55. We have its Satoshi, Pluto's return, Queen Elizabeth, and Platinum Jubilee. All right. So hitting up to that target on the measured move. And then also we did have that inverse head and shoulders in the short term, but once we broke our support there, that was gone. So I don't really mind at this time. It's all about holding the general structure, which is higher lows. We have here our lows, we have here our higher lows, and we have our closure lows at around 37K. So as long as we're maintaining daily closes above 37 and holding this 236 in general, this is fine. This is a textbook big W pullback, just like back here. And I was bringing up this W back here weeks now, weeks and weeks and weeks, telling everyone I feel like we're going to play out something like this, sort of like a double bottom. Okay. Now, if we were to put it into like a weekly chart and we were to turn it into a area, we're going to see that it's not far off from a double bottom. Like, honestly, it's not that much of a difference between the closures. A lot of the time with cryptocurrency, we're getting these massive volatile moves where if we look at wicks, we really get, deceived. So when we're analyzing this, it's not really that far off from the perfect W breakout idea. And when a bullish W forms, it's because the second V in the W is a higher low. Okay, so this would be actually way more bullish than if we just kept moving up. If we were just skyrocketing green into this whole month, I would have said, okay, this is probably going to create a bigger pullback, like a dead cat bounce, where Bitcoin moves into 55, then has a pullback, a dead cat bounce, breaking 30K support. I am happy that we had the move that we had, where, I mean, it's not only about getting the correct analysis, but it's because we have to have structure. When we're analyzing the charts, we need structure. And I brought this up in my last video as well, how a lot of people, they get caught at tops, longing tops, or buying and FOMOing into the bullish energy of the market, but they don't know about the lunar cycle. And those of you that knew about the lunar cycle, you knew we would get a pullback. You just had to be patient for when that day came. The day after the full moon, literally 7% candle to the downside. 5 days after, we're literally perfectly back testing key support from the prior lows. Okay, so this is really nice to see. Holding this 37K level would be ideal. Okay. Right now, it's all about the price levels, to be completely honest, because all of the lagging indicators are sort of messing things up. One of the things I can mention when we look at this based on the firmament dome that I have drawn out, this is looking beautiful. We have all these touch points over here confirming it as a resistance, prior all-time highs, getting rejections, and then recently, literally perfect rejection off of it, telling me that once we break through this firmament, we're going to have a move like we had over here, where you see once we broke through this bigger firmament dome, we had a sharp move to the upside. And then this would be really interesting to see if Bitcoin moves up into April, has a little bit of a cup and handle kind of, rejection, and then goes up again. Nobody knows. Nobody knows right now. Anyone who's committing to know with 100% certainty, they're purely going off of, thoughts and opinions. We always have to take it one step at a time. So it's totally normal if Bitcoin was to come up into April, hit 57, 60, get a rejection, hold the 0.5 fib at 46, and then continue up again. That's totally normal. It's done it plenty of times over a decade. So sometimes people are getting a little bit too caught up in the YouTuber-ness of cryptocurrency, and they're not learning TA, and they're not learning how the actual charts work. They get fixated on the numbers. They don't know the meaning behind the numbers, and they don't really understand the energy behind the numbers or the direction that is most likely. And that's where TA comes into play, because true TA has nothing to do with your emotions or your opinions. It has to deal with the chart structure, prior data that we're seeing in the charts, and how to apply that information without the emotion, without bias, and apply it to the future. So right now, what we're seeing play out is pretty nice, in my opinion. This holding these levels is good. Now, what would invalidate this? Well, if we start closing 37 or lower, I suspect then we would have to look for these wick supports down at 34, 33. That would be very, very interesting. And that would, we do have a new moon on March 3rd, and typically we move bullish into new moons. So again, we've seen this happen before. When Bitcoin drowns out and drags to the downside, it could quickly flip bullish. So this is one of those times where look at how we've been on a bear trend for so long now. It's about time, with all the extreme fear in the market, for there to be a little bit of a reversal. Okay, so again, holding 37 key unless we're going to move down to the 34. And then on the upside, breaking through this firmament would be ideal, but it's that first 45K level that we want to start closing above. Until we're closing above that level, we're pretty much just playing out a potential bottoming structure at the moment, but we're still falling. We can't confirm bottom until we've broken this micro high at 44.8. So ETH, definitely a lot more dramatic, okay? ETH, again, no V-shaped recovery. We got rejected at a higher low. Then we came down another higher low and then continued to break support, just like we saw with Bitcoin. Come back to backtest the key level of 2,500. We hit my 2,700 target, and then yesterday in my Red Pill episode, I was telling everyone, look for 2,500. 2,500 is going to be key. So we've officially hit that, and now this would be the same scenario as potential for Bitcoin, a big W pattern, where this is your neckline and then you potentially have breakout. So we got to pay attention to closures. We're kind of in a good position until closing below 2,400. This is okay. Again, it's a volatile asset. We just have to deal with that. But perhaps with the stock market opening tomorrow, adding some relief, that would definitely be an interesting thing to see play out. And no bullish, continuations until we're closing dailies above 3,200, excuse me. So for right now, kind of in a range. Let's move on to XRP. XRP is really holding strong, and we do have a noticeable bull flag going on. So again, we have the flagpole bull flag, and it's not necessarily anything bullish until we start closing dailies above $1, which would be above the 618. But what we're seeing right now is this 702 is playing a key resistance. So I think even if we started closing above this micro high around 88 cents, that would be enough juice to potentially play out this bull flag target. So we do have a bull flag. It's looking good too. It's really holding support. Even with Bitcoin and ETH breaking support and heading down within levels of the prior lows, XRP is holding structure. So again, this is really nice to see it holding the 75-cent level. I gave that level target for my Patreon members of the Trading Wolves, the upgrade in membership, and we're really doing well holding that level. So the downside target would clearly be the 786, but with how bullish XRP has been, or how strong it has been, and with this retest for Bitcoin down at 37, right at the 236 fib, this is sort of the time where I expect pivots. Okay, so we're gonna see that pivot. The liquidity is definitely gonna go into the Bitcoin and ETH sector first, like the bigger two, and then it will roll over into XRP. But we know XRP, it does things like this, where it just shoots up in a straight line. And I think we're pretty close to getting something like that to play out. Potentially we play out this bull flag bullish above $1. And again, you could just put it in linear. You could draw out from flagpole to here, and then you do half staff meaning that you're going from the bottom of the flag, and that brings us to 102. And that's really funny because I was starting out today's decode with the 102. We were 102 days since the Bitcoin all-time high from yesterday, and then also Sabbath year in Gematria equals 102. So yep, guys, we need to hold this 75-cent level. If not, it will roll over to 72, most likely 71, 72, retesting the 786. That would still be within the bull flag structure. And then the breakout would have to be probably daily closes above 88 cents. And then I would suspect a move up to $1. Closing above $1 and actually holding structure would be fantastic. Then I think a big inverse head and shoulders will probably play out, and this will move this up into the $120, $130 territory probably by the end of next month. So I think XRP is going to do pretty well in the month of March. It'll probably be at least $1 in the month of March. We have to see how it goes though with Bitcoin, of course. So anyways, guys, I appreciate every single one of you. Have a beautiful rest of your day in the Matrix. Much love.